In this part of the vendor management tutorial, we will talk about translation assignments. I will explain meaning of fields in the translation assignment, ways to create assignments. We will talk about purchase orders, about actions available in the translation assignment list and detail view. So let's start. Translation assignment list is available from the assignments button from the quick access toolbar or from the workspace group in the navigation bar here, translation assignments. The list is default one. It contains default buttons like create a new one, clone, edit, delete, select all, refresh, set bookmark. This one is export, this one is custom filters. So these all are default buttons, and then followed by a number of specific buttons available in the assignment list. So probably let's talk about these buttons. The first one, change status, allows to quickly change status of selected assignments. The next one is a quick filter button. It contains predefined values. Now you see this in Russian language, but it depends on the language selected as the default one on your computer. And this button allows to quickly filter a list of assignments based on some main criteria. These items here are built on fly, so the list contains last 12 months. So you can select one of these months here and quickly view assignments from selected period. And just for reference information, you can see a total amount of assignments per each of last 12 months. Then two groups, top vendors, to quickly filter list of assignments by top vendors you use in the list, and ongoing works. It includes all ongoing non-delivered assignments in the list and names of vendors. So you can select any vendor, and in the list, in the item list, you can see number of assignments also existing for each of vendors. So for example, if we select Lisa Evans, we will find that there will be 4 assignments like that. You can see that. So quick filter button, pretty useful one, and recommend to use it. Next button, you saw similar button in the list of vendors. This one called Live Filters, and it allows to quickly find filter assignment list. You can search by vendors and you can make multiple selections here. You can select status which you wish to view, language pairs, specializations. All these fields allows to make multiple selections like this, and then you can clear them when needed. Date, period, amount from to, and rating from to. For example, like this. Let's clear vendors and we will find all assignments with rating greater than 3. Alright, this one is default one, Excel export import. Next button is allows to create invoice, and as you see, when I change selection in the list, availability of these buttons changes. So only for delivered assignments you can create invoice and create payment. When you click create payment, application automatically creates invoice and then creates payment over that invoice. Next button, generate and attach purchase order. It allows to automatically pick up correct purchase order template and create PDF file using that template and attach it to the selected assignment in the files section. Next button, apply same vendor to one or multiple selected assignments. Pretty useful button. For example, if you have a number of assignments for which vendor is not selected, you can select this multiple assignments in the list, click apply vendor, you will see list of vendors. You get select some vendor to apply, and then application will automatically pick up vendor prices, generate purchase order. So also pretty useful button. Next button, create mail message. It allows to create one of 3 types of messages using different default message templates. The first one is an individual confirmation message to selected vendors, like this. You can attach some files and then get confirmation window showing you all generated messages. From here you can send individual message or send all if there is a number of generated messages. For example, if I do like this, individual confirmation message, and you can see that a number of messages was generated, and I can send them individually or send all. Or I can view each of individual messages or preview them like that. Also, you can create group confirmation message, so there will be one message sent to all vendors in a single email. And check availability messages. If you have draft translation assignment with draft status and selected vendor, you can send availability message to check vendor availability. Also, if to get back a bit and talk about this PDF button, I can show you a small hint about customization. It's not about vendor management, just quickly about these PDF purchase order PDF files. If I select quick customization here in the list and add a new field, purchase order, this is a flag showing if purchase order is generated, and I will edit this column here to the list. I can see that some assignments already have purchase orders, other ones do not have, because we do not have not selected any vendors like that. If to find out, yeah, for example, this one here we have a vendor, but PO is not generated. I can select 3 translation assignments and click generate purchase order. An application will pick up individual templates for each of these vendors and generate PDF file. And if, for example, then I open translation assignment, go to the files tab, root, and I will find my purchase order here, and I can download it like that and view. Alright, then let's go to the translation assignment detail view and probably go through all fields and actions available there. Status. List of predefined statuses. By default, when you create translation assignment, it has draft status. Also, you can select prepare, in work, invoiced, delivered partially, delivered, and rejected. Draft assignments, they are never available on the vendor portal. So, for example, if you select draft status, select some vendor, then this vendor will not see this assignment on the portal. If you change draft status to prepare, then and if vendor is selected, then vendor will see this assignment on the vendor portal as a translation offer. And in work, that's clear. This means that work has been started. Then when vendor delivers assignment, status changes to delivered partially or delivered. And then only for delivered assignments you can create invoices, so it becomes invoiced. And rejected if work is abandoned and you want to cancel work on the assignment. Then status of payment, it is non-editable field. It is determined automatically by the application and changes when you create invoices and then payments over those invoices. Number in the form of number and then formatted number. As you remember, there is a setting in the application settings which allows you to specify translation assignments number. Formatting. Then date of creation, deadline in the vendor's time zone. When you select a vendor here, and if time zone differs from your default time zone, this one will be automatically refreshed. Date of delivery, when vendor delivers files assignment over portal, or you somehow mark it as delivered, then date of delivery will be set automatically. Rating, you can set rating from 1 to 5. In the simple form, there are no any detailed ratings for now, and it usually happens after vendor delivers an assignment. Next part is actually assignment parameters. Translation job. Usually all translation assignments are created over translation jobs, and then tasks inside an assignment created over tasks from this base job. When job is selected, then language pair, translation project, and specialization becomes read-only fields, and values are populated based on this base job. If you do not specify translation job, you can just create translation assignment for some works which are not registered as in translation jobs. One of examples is, for example, proofreading of test piece. You do not have any job for your clients, but have this assignment for your vendors. Then these fields become editable, so you can make any selections here as in translation job. Vendor field, we will get back a bit later to this one. It allows you to select a person who will be working on this translation assignment. Then currency, it could be default one or default currency of your vendor or currency of your base translation job. It depends on circumstances. Then price list, when you select a vendor, and if a vendor has multiple price lists attached, then you will be able to select from only those price lists. For now, I do not have selected any vendor, so all price lists available in the system are here. When vendor has multiple default price lists selected in the profile, then you can leave this field empty, and then application will use all default price lists existing for a vendor. Otherwise, if you explicitly select a single price list here in this dropdown, then only this price list will be used to determine prices in tasks which you create in the assignment. The same about fuzzy scheme, it can be default one if the field is blank, or you can select some value here. Purchase order number, it is generated based on settings specified in the application on the global level. And purchase order date, then job name, it can be populated automatically based on base translation job, or you can provide own value here. And required software, again, this value is automatically copied from base translation project or translation job, or you can make custom selections here as well. Notes is internal notes. Notes from vendor could be automatically populated when vendor delivers an assignment through the portal and leaves some notes, and then they will be added here. Then below you can find a group with tabs, so this one contains a lot of additional information, and on the right you can see totals, which display average volume of the assignment, total amount, currency rate, and amount in base currency. So let's go through these tabs. The main one, tasks. This table, as in translation job, specifies all the tasks which must be completed inside this assignment. Tasks can be populated automatically when you select some translation, when you create translation assignment from some translation job, or you can create them manually using default buttons to add and clone here. Also, you can quickly fill this table by using import data from cat tools button on the toolbar, so you can import your analysis report as well. So tasks specify units, quantities, prices, and amounts you have in translation assignment. Payables tab, it is optional tab, and it allows to divide tasks from amounts. For example, you may have a lot of different tasks with different fuzzies and different rates, so there can be a lot of rows here. And for example, if you wish to get invoice from your vendor, which could include not all these rows, but some grouped records, or probably a single record telling full service translation like that, and use different units and specify some aggregate price or discounted price or price which you privately agreed with the vendor, then you can use Payables tab. You can fill it, for example, create a new row here, select, for example, service type like all services, and quantity will be 1, unit could be, say, flat rate, and price will be like something like this. So you get some total amount in the payables like that. And when you switch to the tasks tab, you can see that now amounts is crossed here. So this total amount does not equal to this total amount of the assignment, because you have something in the payables tab, and payables tab dictate that total amount of this assignment is 500 euros. So and now when you create an invoice for this assignment, then invoice amount will be this one, of course, and you can remove it. And now amount was recalculated to reflect this total amount from the tasks table. Checklist can be loaded automatically if you select default checklist in your application settings, or you can do that manually, and then vendor will have to check all these checklist items when they deliver an assignment over vendor portal. Time tracking table, it's about planning of vendor's work. This time tracking table will be filled automatically, and we will talk about this in the separate video. Assignment candidates, we will talk about this pretty soon where we will get back to this vendor field. Mail message history displays all messages created inside this assignment. It could be confirmation messages or check availability messages, whatever. Files tab, usually it will be filled automatically when you create assignment from your project or job, or you can upload files here manually as needed. Instructions tab, it allows to specify some formatted text. Instructions also are automatically copied from the base translation project or translation job, or you can type something manually here and use a fully fledged editor to provide colors, formatting, lists, whatever, and then this text can be included, for example, in the purchase order, something like this. Also, these instructions, of course, will be visible on the vendor portal. Linked invoices contains table of all invoices created over this translation assignment. There could be more than one. Linked payments, the same. All the payments created over linked invoices. And then books, mutual exchanges, it's about debts, and earnings, it's about expenses which you have in this translation assignment. So it is registered in the global ledger book, allowing us to track earnings. And audit trail, you already know what it is. So now let's get back to the ways of creating translation assignments. There are a few ways. As you can see, we can create this manually as shown here, but usually it is not very convenient and not easiest way. And there are a few other ways to do that. Let's start with translation jobs. For example, when we have translation jobs list and we see quantity unassigned here, and we know that this job requires to assign 8,000 average words to our vendors. So let's open this job, and there are a few buttons which allows us to create assignments. First of all, on the translation job main toolbar, we have create assignment button with two options: one assignment for all unassigned tasks and separate assignment per each job task. For example, if job has services translation and proofreading, then application will create two translation assignments. One will include all translation services and another one all proofreading services, tasks, which we have in the job. Additionally, you can create translation assignment using translation job tasks table. For example, here we have two tasks. One has 3,000 unassigned words and another one almost 5,000. And for example, we want to assign this one to one vendor and this one to another vendor. We can select one task here and also find create assignment button here on the toolbar of the translation job tasks. And this way we can create it and we get translation assignment with that selected task. If I cancel it and click create assignment here, you can see that two tasks were included because application took all unassigned tasks from our job and copied it into the assignment tasks table. And as you can see, all the data here was automatically filled. Date, deadline, translation job, language pair, specialization, required software, fuzzy scheme, everything was determined automatically, filled automatically, and the same instructions will be copied and tasks are ready. The only thing which you need to do now is just to select a vendor who will be working on this translation assignment. The next way to create assignments is translation projects. When we have a project, we can open it, we can go to the jobs tabs, as you can see here, and we can go to assignment tab. And under jobs, we have also some quantity unassigned. Some assignment is already created, but something must be created yet. And here we have create assignments button in the assignments tab. This button takes all translation project jobs which have any unassigned quantities and creates corresponding translation assignments for target languages selected in the translation project. So if I click create assignments, we get confirmation message that one assignment has been in this case successfully created. I click OK button and find my new assignment here in the list. And now if we will go back to the jobs, you can see that unassigned quantity is now 0. So there are three ways to create assignments manually from translation jobs, including possibility to create assignment from the whole job or from individual job tasks, and also from translation projects. The specific in translation project, by the way, that you can view all assignments which belong to all jobs from this project, and also we have assignment tasks tab here, which displays all tasks from all assignments which we have in our project. So it allows to quickly check what we have here in the whole project, all the tasks. All right, now let's get back to the vendor selection, candidates and purchase orders. Let me open some translation assignment and let's check our vendor field. What we have here? We have, first of all, some average volume. Here we have 25,000 words. Also, we have date and deadline. Probably since this volume is pretty large, let's increase this deadline, for example, by 25 of May. Now let's try to focus this vendor field and check what we see here. We have language pair selected in the assignment, and in this drop down you see some vendors And what we have here? First of all, we have vendors, only those vendors who support, according to their profiles, this language pair. Also, near each language, near each vendor, you can see number of assignments which exist in the system for this vendor. Then, according to default productivity settings of each vendor, on existence of ongoing assignments, on unavailability days, we can see a number of average words which a vendor can handle by this deadline. You can see that this value is different for each vendor. Then you see number of supported languages, language pairs, and supported services. And when you hover mouse over any of these services, you can see a small tooltip with list of language pairs supported by each service, like that. So also below each vendor, if application recommendation mechanism can include this one or another vendor into the recommendations, you can see recommendation part at the bottom. For example, this vendor is recommended based on previous work, this one is recommended by machine learning, this one also by previous work. Also, it could be recommended if vendor belongs to one of specified vendor groups and based on willingness to work. Also, for this vendor, for example, you can see average rating here because Lisa has good rating and probably other vendors has no assignments with rating, so it's not displayed here in the dropdown. So if this selection is enough, drop-down list is enough for you to make a selection, you can select some vendor here and application will automatically apply vendor prices to all assignment tasks, and you can go to changing status and to generating purchase order. Otherwise, if it's not enough information for you here to make a selection, you can use this search button here. This button opens almost the same list, but with some additional information. What we see here, we see the same list of vendors and the same recommendations, the same provided services and language pairs supported by the vendor, and same capacity until deadline as well. Additionally, you can find average rating for each vendor, then average rating in the assignment language pair. This is not supported and not displayed in the drop-down list. Average rating in specialization, and then estimated amount and estimated margin columns, which could be pretty useful and important when selecting vendors. Also, when you select a vendor, also you can find email address and you can quickly copy it to the clipboard here. When you select any vendor, at the bottom you can find list of assignments which you have in the system for selected vendor. So you can quickly estimate if vendor had any assignments, which ratings, where was there, which amounts you paid, and like that. And of course dates when last assignment was created for selected vendor. Additionally, you can find timeline below recommendations. This timeline represents days when, according to productivity settings, vendor can work or cannot work. So green blocks here display represent available days, and gray ones represent busy days, unavailable days, and probably this one is weekend. And if vendor has any ongoing translation assignment, then this block could be red one. Next, also you can hide this timeline to save some space and make the list more compact. On the right, there are some filters which you can use to filter vendor list, and also if you want to find specific vendor, you can use filter row here, like that. For example, if you want to search by average rating, you can specify minimum 3, and quickly find necessary vendors here. The same about estimated amount, like this. So you can use this filter in row and filter on the right. By default, list is filtered by only vendors who support target Russian and source English. You can deselect, for example, source English and leave only target Russian, or remove all checkboxes to view all your vendors which you have. Also services, only translation. Probably you want to see only vendors who provide target Russian, but not mandatory translation. Probably you forgot to specify this service in the profile. So you can deselect only translation. And then native languages list. So you can filter only by vendors whose native language is Russian, for example. Then you can filter by type. It could be freelancer, staff, or organization. So for example, if you want to select only from your personal, from your staff members, then you select staff and find this one vendor who supports Russian translation and who work in your company. And by average rating filter here is available as well. Then when you ready to make a selection, you can select a vendor here, click OK, and application will automatically apply again prices of this vendor. And by the way, in this particular case, unit conversion settings were applied as well. We will talk about it soon. The next way to select vendors in the assignment is to go to assignment candidates table and fill this table as well. Let's remove these existing candidates and let's try to add candidates here. To add candidates, you can click plus button here and then select, using the same model dialog, select a few vendors to whom you wish to offer this work. Application adds these vendors to the list with the status of possible candidate, and acceptance behavior requires approval from PM. You can find out estimated amounts based on their default price lists, some probably, and estimated margin. I wanted to say some lower, some higher, so different values we get here and different margins here. Then, depending if you use vendor portal or not, you can do the following. You can select vendors and click create mail message to check availability of each selected candidate. Then application creates 3 messages, you click send all and you send it using your default mailbox. Additionally, you can see that after creating message, status was changed to offered candidate. Also, you can change status manually to offered candidate and then save assignment. And this way, and change status to prepare, delete vendor from here, vendor must be empty here, and save. And in the result, application will send notifications to your vendors or email messages. It depends if a corresponding user exists in the system for each of added vendors here. And then vendors can log in into the vendor portal and they will see these translation assignments in the list of offered jobs. Then when they accept or decline your offer or send counter offer, this status will be changed here automatically. Also, it is important that default behavior requires approval from PM. So all 3 vendors, if they all have access to the vendor portal, they will be able to accept your offer. Otherwise, you can, for example, select these 3 rows here and change accepted behavior from requires approval to immediately assign. In this case, when a first vendor accepts this work on using the portal, others will not be able to accept it anymore. Instead, they will get automatic notification that this work is not available anymore. So in case of immediately assign, then vendor who first accepts this work will be automatically selected, populated in this vendor field. Application will apply default price list and generate purchase order. In case if candidates are not immediately assigned but requires approval, then you as a manager make a selection. For example, you select this vendor and you wish to apply this one to this work. Then you select it and find this accept button here, click it. Application will create notification, will apply vendor, will generate purchase order. Also from candidates list you can create vendor quotes, but again this is a topic for another video. This one is long enough already. If we will go to files, you can see that when we applied Mary Jackson here, purchase order was generated automatically and vendor will see this on the vendor portal. As you remember, using vendor profile, you can specify different purchase order templates for your vendors, and depending on which value is selected there, application will automatically use correct template. Also, you can use this print button to select one of your existing purchase orders to generate it explicitly using your selection, like that. From here you can send it by email or export to PDF and then attach to your assignment as needed. Then when assignment is saved, you can switch to the earnings book and you can see that amount of our assignment was registered in the ledger as translation expense. The same in the modal exchanges. This amount increased our debt before Mary Jackson, vendor who is selected in this assignment. And now a few words about unit conversion and working with assignment tasks table. By default, when you create translation assignment from the translation job, let me open it, you can see that we have a number of fields here. Here is a job task and quantity unassigned. It shows you amount of words or other units which are still unassigned from this job task, taking into account this assignment task. So when you create this assignment task with this quantity, then unassigned quantity from the source job task will be 0. Then service type, it's based on the job task, so this is disabled for editing, and the same for fuzzy type. Then we have quantity initial. Quantity initial is a quantity which we take from the source job task in this assignment task. It is important to note that unit initial is read-only, so you can deduct this quantity from the source job quantity explicitly and only in the same units which were used in the source job task. It allows application to track quantity assigned and unassigned, so as you understand, everything should be deducted or summarized in the same units. Then we have next field called quantity. This is a quantity which we assign using inside this assignment task. And if unit is the same as initial unit, then this quantity will be the same as quantity initial, for example. However, you can use different units in your assignment task, so in other words, do unit conversion. And in this case, you can use pages, for example, and then specify some value which corresponds to 3000 words in pages. And you can see that average volume now is pretty different, so maybe I specified too much pages. Maybe it should be a bit less, like 5 or something like that. Alright, so this way you do unit conversion. Of course, it's not useful and convenient to do manually. You can do this automatically. I will show you soon. And then work time. Here you can specify amount of work spent on this task. If in the vendor portal profile you specify that payment to this vendor is based on the work time. And then price, discount notes, it's clear. Next, notes and file name. For example, when I change vendor to Alejandro Rodriguez, I know that this vendor uses automatic unit conversion configured in the vendor profile. You can see that this will happen. Application automatically converted these words into pages according to conversion factors configured in the reference data tables. So now for this vendor, when we create assignment for him, this unit conversion happens automatically, and of course in the purchase order they will see units instead of words. Additionally, if you didn't configure automatic unit conversion settings, you can always select all tasks here in the table and use convert units button here, and drop down list will display all units which you have in the system, and you can select anyone to automatically convert source words to selected target unit, in this case to lines, for example, or to pages, probably to hours, even possible to do this. Yeah, quantity also recalculates. And under average volume, you can see that values here remain more or less equal. So that's about unit conversion. And additionally, in this job assignment tasks table on the toolbar, you can find some additional buttons like redetect prices. When, for example, you make any manual changes to the prices and you want to reload them from the default price list, you can select necessary rows, click redetect prices, and the application will reload the price from the price list instead of manual editing. Change price allows to quickly select a number of records here and set the same price in all of them to avoid, for example, going through all the records and making changes manually to the same value. And reload job tasks allows to take source job. It removes all the rows from here and reloads tasks from the job again. And help button opens wiki article describing how to work with tasks and payables in translation assignments. And the first button here, add a task from the source job. It allows to add additional task. For example, if you created assignment based on a single or multiple base job tasks and you want to add additional unassigned job task to this assignment, you click this button and you can see all the tasks which still exist in the job. And you can see that there is a number of tasks yet in the job which are still not assigned. So I can select it and add it to my assignment. So that's about it. And maybe that's all what I wanted to say about working with translation assignments. Now let's get back to this tutorial in next videos, where we will talk about test pieces, workload planner, quotes from vendors, and etc. So thank you for watching and see you next time.